What's up, everybody? Welcome back to racenews.com. Welcome back to another one of our previews. Let's get to it. A huge weekend of racing down at Gulfstream Park, and it's highlighted by the Pegasus World Cup. We are back once again this year, another Pegasus World Cup, and let's talk about it in this video. Field of 12 in the main body. We've got 2 also eligibles as well. We'll go over all of them for you and give you a winner at the end. Number 1, Disco Time kicks it off. He's going to be the favorite. He should be the favorite. He looks like way the horse to beat to me. Look, it's an interesting horse. 5 races, 5 wins. Wasn't really running off the screen, so to speak, in the Lecomte when we saw him as a 3-year-old early in his season. But won by a neck despite being way out in the parking lot, coming from way out of it. Turns out that's like the outlier race of his. So you look at that one and go, he was 10th. He was, way out of it early. He came way wide. He's able to get the job done. Every other race on his sheet, he likes to be forwardly placed. Let's look at his maiden. He was sitting right off the pace, going 7 furlongs, won by 3 3/4. His allowance optional claiming win, sat right off the pace, if not on the pace, and was able to win by 3.5. Then the Lecomte, way out of it, it was able to win, rallied and win from the parking lot. St. Louis Derby, gate to wire. Now, there wasn't much in there, but he went gate to wire. And then you go to the Dwyer, sat right off the pace and crushed. Has won by 9 3/4, 5.5. Let's skip the Lecomte, 3.5 and 3 3/4. 4 out of the 5 races have not even been competitive, for him. Easy victories. And like I said, the Lecomte was very competitive, won by a neck. All good stuff. I think his worst race was the Kentucky Derby Prep race he ran in that he won. All good stuff there. I think the one kind of pause, the Dwyer, the St. Louis Derby, and allowance optional claimer and a maiden special weight. I mean, none of those races are the Pegasus. None of them are even a graded race, right? I mean, the St. Louis Derby, probably, if you're listening to this, maybe half of you know that's a thing, right? The Dwyer, you obviously know. But again, it's not like he's faced incredibly good horses, but he has dominated in 4 out of his 5 races and beat horses the way you want to see, a good horse beat a suspect field. So he's the one to beat here. Flavian Pratt gets aboard as well. That is another positive for sure. Draws the rail. I don't think that's bad at all. He's got a plenty of early go. I think he can outkick most of these horses. And then just, if he needs to sit just off the lead, I think he can do that. I actually think the rail is a very good draw for him as long as he breaks well. Number 2, British Isles is next year. All turf racing there on those past performances until the Native Diver last time out got second, beating a half length to Nevada Beach. That's why they're going to take a shot with him here. David Fox now takes over the training. I would imagine when you go back to Southern California, Baltus will probably get this horse back. I don't have a lot of interest here in this one. I think he is a definite long shot in this spot and one I'm not interested in. Number 3, Full Serrano. This horse won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last year. I should say in 2024, he won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Long layoff, came back, won at a mile. Then they stretched him out to a mile and 8 in the Goodwood. He got second, beating a length and a half, and kind of didn't look like he wanted to go that long. Went back to a mile for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, got 5th, beaten 12 1/4. Not really for me here in this spot. He's kind of, I don't know. I question the mile and an 1/8, and I don't think he's in the best form, obviously, either. So I'm going to take a little bit of a pass on Full Serrano. The number 4 is Banishing. Of course, it's Banishing. He runs every seemingly 2 weeks in different distances and different tracks, and he's just all over the place. What a classy horse this is, though. Last time we saw him, he was running, of course, at 6 furlongs at Oaklawn Park on December 13th. He lost by a length and a quarter. Tried the Breeders' Cup Dirt Sprint, got 12th there. 3 races back, did go a mile and 1/8 in the Lucas Classic, got 3rd there, did win the Charlestown Classic going a mile and an 1/8. So there is a mile and an 1/8 victory, 1 victory in 5 starts at this distance. Seems like more of a 6, 7, maybe a mile type of horse, but not a mile and an 1/8. So no, not for me in this spot. The number 5, Skippylongstocking, won kind of the local prep race for this. He won by a head, the Harlan's Holiday. I thought it was a really good race. Him and Poster kind of hit the wire together there, and Skippylongstocking holds him off, gets the job done. We've seen this movie so many times with this horse. When he's in grade 3 type races, he's very tough to beat. When he tries to move up to the grade 1, he just doesn't get the job done. He was third here last year in this race. That's kind of what the ceiling that I've got for him here in this one. I don't think he's a win contender in this spot. Let's go to another horse that I don't think is a win contender either, but can hit the board for sure. That's the number 6 Matticat Road. 1 win in 9 starts, but the good news, 6 on the board finishes in 9 starts. He came here to run in the Florida Derby, where he got 4th, beaten 5 1/4 behind Tappan Street, Sovereignty, Neoquist, 3 horses that are pretty decent. They try to cut him back. He gets, second, 5th, and 4th in the last 4 races after that Florida Derby. Not for me in this spot, but, maybe he can stick around and hit the board. That's kind of what he does. The number 7, Tappan Street, and this is one that's obviously very interesting. He is the last horse to beat Sovereignty. He did it in the Florida Derby by a length and a quarter. He ran very, very well in that race. And he also came back. He got hurt out of the Florida Derby. He did not run again until December. And it was an allowance optional claimer. He looked like he hadn't ran in a long time, right? It was a win. Take nothing away from a horse that comes off of a long layoff and wins. They're not really supposed to look just unbelievable unless they are truly just extremely special. I thought it was everything you kind of want to see. It was a nice comeback effort. You got to ramp it up in a big, big way now. Not saying he can't, just saying that you got to run a lot better. We know that. He's really, he's interesting. His maiden was very good at Gulfstream. For just his second start, I thought he ran very good in the Holy Bull. He got second, beating a length and 3/4. Got beat by Burnham Square. That's not that great of a horse, let's be honest. But it was the Florida Derby that really stamped himself. And obviously, Sovereignty went on to do so much that you just kind of, people are like, yeah, I think this could be a really nice horse. And I agree. The one pause that I've got on him, don't think that he would have beaten Sovereignty, this version of Sovereignty, I should say, in that Florida Derby. He got probably the worst version of Sovereignty that we had seen since maybe a couple of his maiden races. He would not have beaten him with that kind of effort, if he would have faced him in the Belmont or the Travers or even the Kentucky Derby, unless Tappan Street also had that level of improvement. And we just never know because of the big gap. I think he's going to run really well here. I'm not sure he's good enough to beat his stablemate. I think he is a very logical horse to use, though. I think he's got a lot of upside. I think he makes a ton of sense. I'm just not sure he's as good as Cisco Time. We're going to find out in this spot. All right, let's go to the number 8 Poster. Another one, I view him like I view Skippy. They hit the wire kind of together in Harlan's Holiday. I think he can hit the board. I don't know past that. So I'm not a huge fan of Poster. I guess that just move on. I like him as a racehorse. I just don't like him in this spot. The number 9 Captain Cook is next. He's kind of fascinating. I don't know what the hell's going on with this horse. I'll just be blunt about it. He turned out to kind of just be an average type for Dutrow on the Kentucky Derby Trail. 4th in the Wood. He did win the Withers. We know that's kind of a weak race. He was 3rd in the Peter Pan. He didn't run very well. 3rd in the Maxfield. I didn't think he ran very well there either. Transferred to Todd Pletcher, cut back to 7 furlongs, 2nd, beating the nose to Patch Adams, ran a 103 Beyer speed figure for Pletcher first out in the Jerkins. And I'm like, well, maybe he's a 7 furlong, 6 furlong type. Maybe Pletcher's got him figured out. He went to the Perryville next, ran 7 furlongs, and just got absolutely annihilated by Barnes. And he didn't run very good at all. He kind of ran back to how he was running with Dutrow. Now they're going to stretch him out to 1 1/8. I don't like this horse at all. I don't have any idea what to do with it. I mean, to be fair, I liked him when he was a 3-year-old early in his career. I kind of gave up on him, and then he ran that 2nd in the Jerkins. I thought, well, maybe. And then he kind of went right back to just not being all that good in the Perryville. Even if he gets back to like the Jerkins type of race, you're still adding a lot of distance. And he just, he was just okay going long. He wasn't bad at all. He was just okay. I just don't see it. I don't know why we're going back long here. Maybe they just think, this is a decent spot, but he's not for me in this spot. The number 10 is Mika. He's very interesting. His last 2 races have been very good. Cigar Mile, he almost got the job done. He almost went gate to wire, got beat late to Bishop's Bay. He was loose on the lead there. He was loose on the lead in a race at Laurel Park and won by 14.5 before that. Brittany Russell was a trainer of record there. So he was with Mike Maker. He kind of disappointed. He went to Brittany Russell. He disappointed a couple of races again, and then he won by 9 and 14 in allowance at allowance option claimer at Delaware, and then an allowance race, starter allowance race, first level allowance race, I should say, at Laurel, and then Cigar Mile jumped up for that second. I don't know. Speed is very dangerous on this track, and so I think that gives him a shot. The problem is, like, who's going to outkick who? Is it going to be Disco Time or is it going to be Mika? And how's Mika going to run with a horse hounding him right down the stretch, right? Because the last 3 races, he was like 5 lengths clear. I just don't see that happening. There's some other speed in here as well. So I'm worried about the pace situation, but his last 2 races are very good. And I think he shows up here with a shot. If he can just kind of get the trip that he needs. All right, the number 11 is White Abarrio. Believe it or not, White Abarrio did win this race last season. It feels like it was 4 years ago when he won this. No, he did win it last year. Not only did he win it, he absolutely dominated. He then won the Ghost Sapper in his next start, and I thought, wow, Saffie Joseph have got him back in big-time form. And then he fell completely off again. 4th in the Met Mile, 4th in the Whitney, 5th in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and that's it. He is a hard horse to figure out, but boy, he is very good when he gets good. 24 starts, lifetime, 10 wins, 2 seconds, 3/3. So he's always been around it. So I remember I've cashed a lot of tickets on this horse. I loved him when he was a 3-year-old on the Florida circuit. And I feel like I've always kind of been on the right side of him. Really up until last year, I lost total confidence in this horse. So basically, he was a pretty good here at Gulfstream Park. He wasn't really competitive in 3-year-old races after that. And then he kind of was just treading water, basically. They transfer him to Dutro. So Dutro gets him to run 3rd in the Met Mile, but it was kind of a 3rd that's like, yeah, he wasn't really competitive. He wins the Whitney by 6 1/4 in a race so good that I picked him to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, it was a weak Breeders' Cup Classic, but he won. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic. This was for Dutro. They go to the Saudi Cup. He doesn't run a step. They try the Met Mile after that. He doesn't run a step, and he goes back to Saffie. Okay, they're going to make it a little easier on him, right? They run him in an allowance there at Gulfstream. He wins. They run him in the Mr. Prospector. He runs 2nd there, and it wasn't a real good 2nd at all. And then he pops and wins that Pegasus World Cup. So I kind of looked at that and was like, okay, look at the races leading up to last year's Pegasus World Cup. How was he doing? Not very good, right? And so how's he doing right now? Not great. But maybe that's okay. I don't know. I am so on the fence. I used to always get him right, and now I'm always getting him wrong, I feel like. I don't know when he's supposed to fire. We haven't seen him since August 31st. Can he possibly show up here and run a big race? I mean, his workouts don't really suggest he's ready to roll. He had to scratch out of the Breeders' Cup. I'm going to leave him off, but I guess maybe that's stupid. I don't know. I don't know what to do with him anymore. I just can't see him showing up here and running a huge race like he did last year. Maybe on a couple of saver tickets, backup tickets, you throw him on there, but I don't know. I'm very skeptical. But it's hard to just throw off a Breeders' Cup and a Pegasus winner in a race it doesn't light the world on fire, right? So I don't know. Make game time decision. Maybe I throw him on a ticket at the end. We'll just have to see on him. Number 12, brother Kenny. Not going to use him here in this spot. I think he is a cut below. Nice win in the Zia Park Derby last time out. I just think his numbers are a little bit too low for this, and not a great post either. So I'm going to leave him off. All right. Also eligible is the number 13, Lightning Tones. I can see why he's also eligible. Doesn't do a whole lot for me here as a Florida bred who did win last time out, in the Florida bred stakes race, but just looks like a cut below for sure. And you could say the same about the number 14 Catalytic. This horse was 3rd, beaten 5.5 in the Harlan's Holiday last time. We just have not seen this horse, do much. The 2024 Florida Derby is kind of his claim to fame. He was 2nd behind Fierceness, but he was 13.5 lengths behind. He finished 19th in the Kentucky Derby after that. Only 1 win since that Kentucky Derby. It was a low allowance optional claimer here at Gulfstream. No, not for me. Not at all. All right. This field to me feels pretty weak. I really think it's between the two Brad Cox horses, talking about Disco Time, and you're talking about a Tappan Street. I think number 10 Mika is a wild card. If he can get that lead, he could take him a long way. And I guess, White Abarrio kind of right in there in the mix too. That's kind of be my top four. I like number 1 Disco Time on top though. I just think, the last race was pretty breathtaking from him, honestly. I know he didn't beat much, but I thought it was super strong. I think he actually draws well. I don't think the rail is a problem for him at all. I think he's got a pace advantage in this race. I love a horse that can take the lead if nobody goes, but can sit off and be patient. I think that's him. Tappan Street, his other one, I'm a little worried about him. I do think he can kind of run that bigger race, but I think the other ones are in trouble. I'm going to go number 1, Disco Time on top. Disco Time to win this year's version of the Pegasus World Cup. All right, guys, that'll do it for this preview. Hit that like button if you like. Hit subscribe. You really like. Want to get a learning time? We do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're betting Gulfstream on Saturday.